So we got 4 buffed assault rifles and a buffed LMG, which I'm gonna review in this video. FR.556, ICR, Holger, ASM10 and the Peacekeeper. I will lead with the FR.556 because I said that the buff to the first damage range was actually promising, and I could not have been more wrong. Well, I based my idea on the fact that a while ago I was trying it out and concluded that it is kind of like a weaker but easier to control HVK, like HVK for beginners, but the thing is HVK got a buff and it is actually meta, but this gun it is just too weak in the current situation. We have way too many new guns that are just better, and like even in Diesel, which is a range map where the range of a FR.556 would be good, I kept on getting destroyed by USS-9s because that gun is just superior apparently. And so there is no argument to solidify a usage of FR.556 in the current rank situation. Some of the other buffed guns will be just better as well. And this was just the hardest one to get a good MVP. And well, I did manage to get this one with 23 kills only, which is very not impressive. And so yeah, I would say that FR.556 just... it's not a good gun. It never had a season where it was like in the top meta, and at this point I don't think it ever will. ICR got some buffs to the overall hit flinch cause to the enemies when you're shooting at them, and well, I'm using here Signax Gunsmith, which is slower but it has the FMJ and the big mag, and well, with the slow mobility it kind of feels like an LMG variant but a bit faster compared to your regular LMG. But the problem with such slowness is that, well, in this match I did manage to kind of secure the last OBG area and help my team win, but I did not MVP. I only had 16 kills because of the slowness, and well, that is the thing, that the gun is kind of usable, but it is slow, for one, and for two, basically, if you're fighting with your enemies at closer ranges, that added hit flinch does not really help. Like USS-9s, VMPs, we still can shoot at you. It doesn't matter if we hit like your chest, whatever, you still just die. Because we have better damage situation going on. And XM4 would be a versatile assault rifle that is actually meta. And it is just more flexible and better. Also the Odin, it is also a slow gun, but it has way better damage and accuracy if you're using the Ranger barrel. And so this ICR, it kind of is okay to use for support. Like you can wallbang with it and kind of use it like an LMG, because the mag that I'm using here it has many bullets. But it is nowhere near like a meta significant change. And frankly, the support loadout in the current lobby situation, I already made a video like Neanderthals are playing Kodem. Because the teammates, they are usually just really horrible. At least I don't know about you, but last 2 weeks I was getting just absolutely horrible teammates, which is why this video is also so severely delayed. Until I got good gameplay with the not too meta guns, I had to suffer a lot. And so I think that we simply do not have the luxury for passive weapons. Like, to be a support of your team is not enough. You have to also be actively playing OBG, which is why more versatility comes in handy like the XM4, or more aggression shown like the RAM7, or even the Odin. They are all just superior choices. Now Holger is an LMG, but the classical build had the same problem as the ICR, that it is just way too slow. Like the one without the mag attachment with the most bullets, it is just slow in terms of mobility, DS time, etc. And the damage is just not good enough to compensate for the slowness. And here I'm trying Signax suggested gunsmith with the 40 rounds mag, which was buffed. It now has damage multiplier, and this gun it also has the same hit flinch induction effects as the ICR. And well, this build it is built around mobility. Now I'm not sure if this is the best one. I don't think that the BRL for the extra movement is absolutely necessary. Like, I think we could just have granulated grip tape, but this was like the idea to be anti-meta, to abuse the disable, slow enemies down, and then while being fast to kill them. And I cannot say that this idea is super good, because I would still run out of bullets, and like I said, the mobility wasn't needed. and those meta guns would still destroy me, but it is kind of usable and I think better compared to the classical Holger for sure. Just it is really not that meta valid. Well, it kind of competes with the RAM7, which is just easier to use, has 50 bullets, and again, it is a good aggressive assault rifle. You don't have to use disable or like some sort of a particular strategy approach to be good with it, or even the Peacekeeper, which will be reviewed later. And so Holger, well, the regular, like I said, slow. This one kind of usable, but nothing meta breaking. At least such would be my impression right now. I will be trying it out through the season. Maybe later I will change my review regarding the Holger, but I honestly doubt it. Now the ASM10 buff is unexpectedly interesting because the mobility increasement it does feel, and it has pretty good damage. The fire rate is not the fastest, but it is sufficient because of the damage. The ADSing and tracking while shooting are also not bad, and you can use 35 rounds mag. With the slower fire rate it will not be a huge issue, and with the better mobility it does become usable. And if you really want, you can use it in ranked, but the main problem is the XM4. It is easier to control, has smoother ADS tracking, better mobility, 50 rounds mag. It is basically just better compared to ASM10, better in every way. And so in a tight match, in a sweaty lobby, if you use XM4 you will just be having better results. Like, assuming that your skill is the same with both weapons, when you use XM4 you will just have better results. And I could also kind of compare it with the Odin, but I feel that Odin is a different animal because it is kind of like an annihilator in a shell of an assault rifle. It requires more skill to use, but it has very high damage. And so I don't just want to compare it with the SM10. I think XM4 is closer in the same field, like in the niche. And the main big five are the USS9, the VMP, RAM7, the XM4 and the Odin. So yeah, ASM10 can be compared with the XM4. Also FR.556 and ICR also with the XM4, and XM4 is just superior. Odin obviously is also superior. As for the RAM7, well, it is a bit more of an aggressive assault rifle with good mid-range, not like the SVAL. And I think that it is closer to Holger or the Peacekeeper, which got buffs to the recoil and it is now very easy to control. In fact, the first few matches I would start shooting and just move the weapon down because I was used to the recoil going upwards, but now it is no longer feelable as much, if at all, I would say. And so now Peacekeeper to RAM7 is what XM4 used to be to the Type 19 before Type 19 was nerfed out of the meta. Back in the day, I don't know if you still remember, I was making comparison videos, I used them both a lot. And basically Type 19 had better range and accuracy, but XM4 was faster, with worse range. And I think that at the moment the buffed Peacekeeper is the same to the RAM7. It is not as good in terms of accuracy or range, but it is just faster. In terms of reload, ADS time, movement, everything, it just feels more aggressive. And so in situations where RAM7 is a bit too slow but you want the same playstyle, you can certainly use Peacekeeper, or even use Peacekeeper for your aggressive assault rifle and have RAM7 for backup, well, whichever you want. And well, RAM7 is still the more meta choice because it has more bullets, it is more consistent, it requires less skill even after the buff to the recoil that Peacekeeper has received. But I kind of am willing to, when I talk about the main 5 meta, like I should be writing RAM7 on my paper list, and then alongside it maybe in brackets like Peacekeeper, because we are in a very similar field of usage. And I will be making, of course, a comparison video between them two later, because Peacekeeper, well, I kept on saying that this gun is very good ever since the iron sight was fixed, and I said that once USS9 gets enough, it will certainly be a valid meta choice. And the thing is, it would be what RAM7 was introduced, which is just superior meta choice. But this buff is promising, and we will be seeing more people using the Peacekeeper because now it does not require a lot of skill to control. And who knows, maybe later it will get another buff and we will be seeing it in like main meta. But now it is kind of like extension of RAM7 in the meta slot, like we said. It would be USS9, VMP, RAM7, Peacekeeper, and then VXM4 and the Odin. But that is a really notable thing, because compared to the earlier buffs, this one, even though you would say that hey, recoil does not change the like fire rate, anything, but more players will have ease controlling it. And that is probably the most notable from the assault rifle buffs that we had in the season 10.